Good afternoon. Welcome you all to this Friday afternoon discussions on hyperacute stroke, which what's happening in 2020 to be precise, and where we should develop. The scheme will be like this. There is an introduction. The objective is to discuss the management of ischemic stroke the first 24 hours with the help of advanced imaging guided treatments, and then we'll talk about 5 RCTs, the revision of 2013 ASA guidelines due to the development in the stroke management, the concept of a dawn trial and diffuse 3, that is clinical DWA mismatch, the MR witness and wake up trials, that is diffusion flare mismatch. Uh, I wanted to say that I will be not discussing the intravenous thrombolytic therapy, which is in vogue since 1996, and most of us are very well versed with it. We'll take issues beyond that. So the background of our talk is whether speed is important or accuracy is important. The non-contrast CT scan, MRA, MR perfusion, is an old story, and presently the stroke management revolves around CT angiography, CT perfusion versus MRI, MR angiography, MR perfusion. And artificial intelligence has also joined hands for stroke advanced management. And there are strokes which are unwitnessed. There are strokes which happen on getting up early in the morning. And how do we address them through DWI, flare mismatch, or the trials? So, in essence, the stroke management has become a team sport. You require neurologists, you require the neuroradiologist or radiology colleagues, you require critical care specialists, emergency medicine people, rehabilitation people, and speech language people, and it's a team spirit that will bring out the best outcome for the patients. uh, it has been a discussion point whether what to do, CT scan first or uh, MRA first. NCCT had used to be the past. They work hard because fast and Dex loads bleed rapidly. You can decide about the thrombolytic therapy. But at present, to improve the patient selection for acute interventions and the prognostication, we require beyond NCCT, CT angiography, CT perfusion studies, MRI and MRA and MR perfusion studies. One point of caution, which has been asked to some of our colleagues also, multimodal CT and MRI should not delay administration of IV TPA if the patient comes in window period of 4.5 hours. The decision to give the IV TPA is on NCCT head, and if you decide to go ahead, but at that time the clinical judgment should tell us whether there is a large vessel occlusion, and for that you have to equip yourself with enough clinical knowledge, and especially Van scale, which is a vision testing to be done, aphasia testing, and a neglect testing. If all these three modalities are tested and found, any one of them found positive along with weakness, or if NIHS stroke scale is more than 6, you can think that there is a large vessel occlusion. More than 12 is definite, but 6 or 10 also will suggest that there is a large vessel occlusion. Whenever there is a large vessel occlusion, then there is always a scope for acute intervention with intra-arterial route and endovascular therapy. The debate whether CT or MRA first has been settled uh, by this wonderful study, which showed that there is no difference in functional outcome at 3 months, whether you do CT at the beginning or MRA at the beginning, and the functional outcome will be always equal in both modalities. So now you decide whatever is convenient for you, we can do, and still I favor NCCT head as a thing, and what we practice here with a diffusion weighted image along with NCCT head and a flare is a very good beginning. Now, what joined our ornamentarium, not in this place but world over, is this artificial intelligence, automated softwares to aid in image interpretation. These are rapid software. They will evaluate the ischemic core, the perfusion lesion. They will tell you the mismatch and whether there is any large vessel occlusion. They also are helpful in stratifying SEH. So there is automated notification and work efficiency increases. And rapid software is uh, frequently used in ischemic stroke, and we are also in the process of developing a software from Manipal Institute. So the rapid software will help you in estimating the ischemic core and the mismatch and the perfusion deficit. This perfusion deficit is ischemic penumbra, which is dependent on collateral blood vessels. And this rapid software is used for patient selection in the important 5 trials, SWIFT Prime, Extend IA, Dawn, and Diffuse trials. And FDA also approved this as a neuroimaging platform to select patients likely to benefit from EVT. Right now, it's not very widely used, available, or it's very costly, and one has to develop one's own methods. So how did we break the time window? How did we get there to say that when we with a lot of fear we used to go within 3 hours, then we extended to 4.5 hours, then to some cases 6 hours, then now 6 to 16 hours, 6 to 24 hours. And how did we get there? So that's because of the rapid developments that had taken place. There were some negative trials in the initial stages in 2013. These are all the trials that are shown on the screen, are the but they are very important in giving us some direction about the stroke severity or the core, about the infarct volume, and these have given important inputs so that we can develop much better interventions with faster times, careful selections, and we have newer devices, etc. So this is a very important beginning. In 2013, we were not using any of the interventions. For me, the first intervention which we did endovascular therapy was in 2015, when we could intervene within 3 hours time. So all this happened because of Mr. Clean, Escape, Extend, IF, Swift Prime, Revacas. These are 5 important trials. You can see that there is a time window which is up to 12 hours to 8 hours. So this is dependent on the mismatch, and also the vessels that are the M1, M2, A1, A2, and basilar artery. So they have seen that the small vessels also are entered and the clot is removed, and various different NIH stroke scales have been used in these trials. But these all help us in formulating or changing our direction of management. That has led to revision of the 2015 AHA ASA focused update on the guidelines which were issued in 2013 for the early management of patients with acute ischemic stroke. And what they said was that patients should receive endovascular therapy with a stent retriever if they meet all the following criteria. The pre-stroke MRS score is 0 to 1. The acute ischemic stroke receiving IV within 4.5 hours of onset according to guidelines, and causative occlusion of the internal carotid or proximal M1. Though trials have gone beyond M1, the sanction is given for M1, and NIH stroke scale to be more than 6. The aspects CT is more than 6 and age more than 18 years. So 2015 guidelines say that we have to select and identify patients for intervention. So this is a guideline. This is the American Heart Association guideline, which has been widely followed subsequently. But our advancements didn't stop here. Then within 3 years, we have to revise the guidelines further, as you will learn when we progress into this talk further. So the important investigations that have helped us, the voxel based region of this ROC and AOC curves, which calculate the cerebral blood volume and flow on MIT, etc., in the CT angiography, and the diffusion weighted core infarct size, which can predict the clinical response to therapy. So these are the best available advances, and even now we are doing studies on volume calculation based on the DWA image, but it's not possible right now. We are not doing CT perfusions very frequently, but we have to develop that technique. And these are collateral assessments which will dictate the penumbra, how much is there. So now the concept has emerged in the time between 6 to 24 hours. Some infarcts they enlarge very much, some infarcts they don't enlarge. So there is a different type of enlargement that is seen, that will come to know. So CT perfusion studies and MRI perfusion studies have made their entry into the decision making, and 7.3 hours is a maximum. This is the time. That means the endovascular therapy in the early hours, that is 0 to 6 hours, is very time sensitive. If it is done within 7.5 hours, or as early as possible, of course, the returns and the odds ratio which you can see is better, and its cutoff is at this point. So what I was telling you is that diffusion weighted image lesion growth is highly variable. This growth time between symptom onset and the MRI and DWA volume, you see that there is different type of growth in various individuals. So it's not a uniform growth that is seen, and this is seen in the perfusion imaging and fast progressors. So there are fast progressors. So what is the progressors and what is the percentage of slow progressors? That will dictate further, further our management strategies. So this concept emerged in when we were dealing with IV TPA only. Then it was noticed some people have large cores and some people have small cores, and this diffusion mismatch, clinical diffusion mismatch, was earlier noticed, but by the time it came into clinical recognition, it took some time. So what essential is this fast progressor, more than 70 cc ischemic core within 0 to 6 hours. That means 4 million neurons per minute to 24 million neurons per minute die in this case. So what is that percentage of the patients? 1.9 million neurons per minute. This is slow progressor, less than 30 cc ischemic core within 6 to 24 hours. That means, so there are two groups of patients here. What is the percentage? You can see that 25% are fast progressors. Core more than 70 cc presentation within 6 hours, and remaining are the core is less than 30 cc and they are slow progressors. So that means there is a tremendous scope. The presentation beyond 6 hours, slow progressors are 55% almost. So that means last known well to core imaging in hours, that is shown here. And so there is a large amount of scope for treating the intervening in these individuals also. So the core less than 30 cc, presentation beyond 6 hours, and you see this is the odds ratio, this is the likelihood of good outcome, and these are the poor collaterals, these are the good collaterals, and this can only be studied by CT angiography, and we can assess who are the slow progressors and who are the fast progressors. So this is a study. So reperfusion, that means opening of the vessel is very important, and diffuse to extend IA. The pooled analysis showed that 59% reperfusion and 47% is no reperfusion. So it is said that even a vessel opens beyond 50% with your intervention, the outcome is going to be very good. So every effort is made to recanalize and reperfuse the ischemic area. So now we have groups now. One is the large vessel occlusion group, the other one is a non-large vessel occlusion group. And there are these are main two groups, and it can be less than 6 hours, 6 to 24 hours, or wake up stroke. So these are the type of patients we encounter in our emergency. There is time sensitivity of mechanical thrombectomy also. We know the time frame for intravenous thrombolytic therapy, that is 4.5. Even in mechanical thrombectomy, 0 to 6 hours, the earlier the better it is. And patient selection is to be done with CT and CT angiography. CT perfusion in less than 6 hours, MRI in less than 6 hours. Beyond 6 to 24 hours and wake up patients, the imaging modalities are not yet clear. One important thing that it can help us is the diffusion flare mismatch. The maximum intensity projection for EVT is also helpful parameter which our radiology colleagues will do at times. Let's see a case. 69-year-old lady, the atrial fibrillation. The warfarin was discontinued due to dysfunctional vitreous bleeding. She presented in 2 hours time with left hemiparesis. The CT aspect score. Now I request our radiology colleagues to give us CT aspects because it's better seen on the console than on the film. So here it is the CT aspect score is up to 10, and we have reduced 2 points. It became the MIP image here. This is a MIP image. The maximum intensity projection image shows clot in the junction of M1 and M2 junction. So if we have 10 points, that means the CT aspect score is 10. If we have 10 points, that means the CT aspect score is 10. If we have 10 points, that means the CT aspect score is 10. If we have 10 points, that means the CT aspect score is 10. If we have 10 points, that means the CT aspect score is 10. If we have 10 points, that means the CT aspect score is 10. If we have 10 points, that means the CT aspect score is 10. If we have 10 points, that means the CT aspect score is 10. If we have 10 points, that means the CT aspect score is 10. If we have 10 points, that means the CT aspect score is 10. If we have 10 points, that means the CT aspect score is 10. If we have 10 points, that means the CT aspect score is 10. If we have 10 points, that means the CT aspect score is 10. If we have 10 points, that means the CT aspect score is 10. If we have 10 points, that means the CT aspect score the IV TPS started and she was wheeled into cath lab. So that means this is our present setup, because we don't have any other investigation with us. So we do this, and you see that right MCA is blocked. Suppose we call our intervention radiologist and we introduce the guide wire and the catheter, and we remove the clot, then we can see the reperfusion in the vessels. So this is a one type of approach. So mechanical thrombectomy workflow. In this case, patient came 245 and door at 2, the last known value is 245, reached hospital 445, CT 520 and 615 groin puncture. The TC3, that is complete recanalization, 7, and puncture less than 60 minutes. So everything is calculated, and you see once after 48 hours the NIHS is dropped from 8 to 1, and you see the infarct that is resulted. So this is the essence of the treatment right now. So the MRS 0 to 2 in second generation thrombectomy trials. Then the second generation thrombectomy trials, 2013 trials are negative, but these 5 trials have gone ahead, and they resulted in a very good. This is MR clean, revascate, escape, Swift prime, and extend IA. Dr. Mayank Goyal has done a Hermes analysis, and the meta-analysis of these trials benefits are seen in 2 trials, 8.6 and 11.4, and you see the endovascular treatment versus medical treatment in MRS2. It emerged as the most powerful therapy to date existing in the medical field, in the endovascular therapy for stroke. If you look at the numbers needed to treat, and you see these 7.7, 4, 3, 4, and 6 in the 5 trials, which the time window for thrombectomy is 0 to 6 to 0 to 12 hours, 0 to 8 hours, and you see the sample size is 500, 215, 206. It's a large sample size, and these trials have studied and given us what is called this NNT, numbers needed to treat, which is a very tangible metric to see how powerful a therapy is. So EVT is the most powerful therapy. The mechanical thrombectomy, the NNT is 3 to 7, and if you look at the STEMI 0 to 6 hours IV thrombolysis is 43 NNT, and 6 to 12 hours STEMI 63, whereas here you see this is the numbers which are very attractive, and we always should try and impart this type of care to our stroke patients. And if we have not set up this, our endeavor must be to reach this goal, to set up all these facilities so that we can impart exceptional care. The intervention has helped all groups over more than 20 minutes, less than this is the line of 0, and if you see all these, this is a control and this is the intervention favor, and you see IV altiplase, if it is given, there is benefit. More than 120 minutes, less than 120 minutes, see the confidence intervals, and age, as you see, did not make any difference. That means all age groups can be treated with this. So there is nothing like less than 80 is okay, more than 80 is not possible. And you see, it is just touching the midline. So the NIHS stroke scale, all types of severities can be addressed with endovascular therapy. That is the beauty of this treatment. So the new standard of care has emerged. This 2015 guidelines have to be revised, and they said if NIHS stroke scale is more than 6 and aspects is more than 6, the patient should receive a mechanical thrombectomy with a stent retriever if they meet the following criteria, that is grade 1 evidence. So the criteria EVT is the new standard of care. Although the benefits are uncertain, the use of a mechanical thrombectomy may be reasonable for carefully selected patients with ischemic stroke in symptom onset, even if it is in M2 or M3 portion of the middle cerebral artery. It also extended 2B evidence to basilar artery, posterior cerebral artery, vertebral artery. See, although the benefits are uncertain, but 2015 guidelines say that this to be offered to the patient. That's why we insist we should diagnose the infarct related artery as early as possible. EVT, as I said, is very time sensitive and it should be initiated as soon as possible within the first 7.3 hours, as I showed this graph earlier, of the symptom onset. This is the Hermes collaboration meta-analysis of the 5 RCTs by Dr. Mayank. So, functional, let us see why it is time sensitive. The functional independence is 64% with reperfusion at 3 hours. It comes down to 46% if you do it at 8 hours. If you translate into the other meaningful dialogue, among every 1,000 patients achieving substantial endovascular reperfusion, that is TC2B or 3, every 15 minutes faster door to perfusion time, 39 patients would have a less disable outcome at 3 months, 25 more would have achieved functional independence. See, these numbers become more meaningful if one of our close relations fall into this group, then you will feel very happy. Though 1,000 patients and 50 patients benefit, you may not look, but this is also very crucial in the treatment. So what I was referring to the CT aspect score, and we expect that we should um, educate ourselves and all cuts at each level evaluated at basal ganglion level and supraganglionic level. The abnormality should be visible on at least two consecutive cuts. 1 point is subtracted from 10 for any evidence of ischemic change. The normal CT scan has got 10 points. Diffuse involvement throughout the MCA territory becomes aspects 0. And for endovascular therapy, more than 6 is required. Less than 5 aspects is a very severe stroke. So, what are the imaging selection criteria and what is the recommendation, which is class 1? Emergency imaging of the brain is recommended before initiating any specific treatment for acute stroke. In most instances, NCCT will provide the necessary information to make decisions about emergency management. This is unchanged from 2013 guideline, which is class 1 level A. What has changed is this: if endovascular therapy is contemplated, a non-invasive intracranial vascular study is strongly recommended during the initial imaging evaluation of the acute stroke patient, but should not delay intravenous RTPA if indicated. So you give RTPA, but you attempt to image the infarct related artery. For patients who qualify for IV RTPA according to the guidelines from professional medical societies, initiating IV TPA before non-vascular or non-invasive vascular imaging is recommended for patients who have not had non-invasive vascular imaging as part of their initial imaging assessments for stroke. So the essence is non-invasive intracranial vascular imaging should then be obtained as quickly as possible. This has got class 1 evidence and level of evidence is A, and this is the new recommendation in 2015 guidelines. So you see what's happening, and these are some of the cases that are present in the world literature. You see door to CT, door to groin, door to reperfusion. The timing is 150 minutes. So all three cases which I show have got very fast 71 minutes, and the opening of the vessel, which is very important, is seen here, and here it is 101 minutes. So you try and recanalize the occluded vessel as early as possible, provided if you are able to diagnose it. So 0 to 6 hours perfusion imaging has got no benefit. So after 6 hours the perfusion imaging benefit starts. The benefits of additional imaging beyond CT and CTA or MR and MRA, such as CT Is where we are.
Yes. Now it's gone.
Yeah. Sorry for the glitch. So the second 20 minutes, the stroke neurologist will assess, and the neurointervention team will also emerge. All teams converge in the angiography suite, and so the intervention is to be planned in the next half an hour. So overall, we should be able to intervene within 1.5 hours. That brings us to the later window, that is perfusion diffusion mismatch. Here, the diffusion weighted abnormality is the infarct zone. This is a core infarct. The perfusion abnormality is hemodynamic compromise. There is ischemia here, and this is a mismatch. And this mismatch, if it is more than 20% or more than, say, some people 20 cc, 70 cc, so there are various grades given, and this depends on the site of occlusion and the collateral vessels that are present. So that knowledge in accessing whether what to do next. So mechanical thrombectomy into 6 to 24 hours and wake up strokes will be dealt in the next talk. So imaging modalities for selection of 6 to 24 hours: CT perfusion, diffuse DWI and MR perfusion. These are the important imaging modalities. What I was telling you, that growth of infarction is variable among patients with M1 occlusion. This we have seen that this some people may have this much growth, some people will have this growth. This is all because of the slow or fast, right? So that can be detected with software, automated software, which is used in the Dawn trial. And so the computed tomographic perfusion to predict response to recanalization in ischemic stroke. Thus, that has given rise to this Dawn trial, diffusion weighted or CTP assessment, and with clinical mismatch in the triage of wake up and late presenting strokes undergoing neuro intervention. So this trial is a very important trial in our development of stroke management. And here the concept is clinical diffusion mismatch. If an individual more than 80 years has an NIH stroke scale of more than 10, but you have done a CT perfusion and the core is less than 21, that means he is a fit candidate to undergo mechanical thrombectomy. This is the clinical diffusion mismatch. If less than 80 years, slightly younger ones, if core is less than 31 cc also, you can take him for mechanical thrombectomy. If it is more than 20, then less than 51 core can be taken for the mechanical thrombectomy. This is the Dawn concept for clinical diffusion mismatch. So the objective is to demonstrate superior functional outcomes at 90 days with the Trivo plus medical management compared to medical management alone in appropriately selected patients treated 6 to 24 hours after last seen well. So this terminology has entered our clinical field, that is last known well, LKW we call it is. The clinical imaging mismatch defined by age, core and NIHS, the probe design, and we'll go to, this is the study methods workflow, one can go and see. We are interested in the outcome. What outcome is there? You see, day 90 MRS is 48.6% in the endovascular and 13% in medical. The numbers needed to treat for 90-day functional independence is 2.8, most powerful NNT that can be seen in medical field. So that means the numbers are very high. Here that is shown similar to P less than 0.0001. So this is the most powerful onset, on awakening, witness, anything is done has shown benefit, favored the intervention than the control. So that is one trial. The second trial is diffuse 1, 2, 3. Here the here diffuse 3 has made possible for a larger number of cases to be included in the management. This is target mismatch profile. baseline is here it is hypoperfusion, reperfusion has taken place, 27 hours later you see the infarct. Here there is no reperfusion and you see the infarct size. So this is a concept in diffuse 1, 2, 3 trials, and thrombectomy for stroke at 6 to 16 hours, diffuse 3 investigators and 24 January 18. The hypothesis is that stroke patients with MCA and or IC occlusion and salvageable tissue, that is penumbra, identified by CT-MR perfusion, benefit from EVT between 6 to 16 hours. Eligible patients were randomized to thrombectomy, well management, and 1:1 randomization. Endpoint is blinder assessed MRS at 90 days and ordinal shift analysis of secondary MRS 02. So these are the criteria. Now you see here NIH is more than 6 to 16 hours, and core volume is 70 cc. There we saw 30 cc, 20 cc. Here larger amount of volume is taken. Here NIH is more than 6. There it is 10 in Dawn trial. That means more patients can be taken in diffuse 3. And what happened to this trial? These are the key clinical criteria. Age 18 to 90 years. NIH is more than 6 and punctures 6 to 16. What happened? This trial was occlusion the IC and MCA was shown. The rapid the software to be used to select a similar window. Dawn reported positive results in May 2017. So diffuse was placed on hold for early interim analysis and subsequently it was stopped. In the analysis, it showed same results as Dawn. The odds ratio is 2.8 and numbers needed to 2. That is endotherapy potential. So the reperfusion, recanalization rates of medical treatment and the p-value is very significant. Complete recanalization also is seen at 24 hours. The symptomatic ICH is slightly more in endovascular treatment and death is less. This is the death is improved. That means there is statistically significant reduction in mortality rate. So the time sensitivity is less for late window. So there is, you need not hurry and do within 6 hours. Here the various graphs show the various the poor collaterals, the good collaterals, all they join together. So time sensitivity is less. That means up to 24 hours you can intervene. So Hermes, the 5 trials which the early window endovascular therapy 46% reperfusion and the late window 47%. So what is important is that the opening of the vessel is very important, which is not seen in control group is 15% and 27%. If you want a good favorable outcome, the vessel has to be recanalized and the the brain parenchyma has to be reperfused. So 2018 guidelines, 6 to 24 hours, and in selected patients with AIS within 6 to 16 hours at last known normal who have large vessel obstruction in the anterior circulation and the meet other Dawn or diffuse criteria, mechanical thrombectomy is recommended. This is recommended, new recommendation, class 1 and strength of recommendation A. In selected patients with 16 to 24 hours of last known normal who have large vessel obstruction in the anterior circulation, meet other Dawn eligibility criteria is reasonable. From the mechanical thrombectomy is ATC 2B or 3, that means partial more than 50% or complete recanalization for a good outcome. And stent retriever to be used or aspiration to be used, and there is a reason for it. The developed countries, it doesn't make any difference, but there are studies like these two studies, ASTER study and the PRISM study. What this is that the aspiration is much cheaper. You can have the aspiration catheters are less costlier than the stent retrievers. So what emerged is there is a trend that is early career physicians, aspiration is less costly. The aspiration has growing evidence in ASTER and COMPASS trials. So now the technique also important. What technique our neurointervention prefers. That brings us to the segment where IVTPA in unwitnessed onset, non-large vessel obstruction, acute ischemic stroke using MRI for patient selection. Whether these cases can be treated. In all these strokes, 25% are unwitnessed wake-up strokes. They get up and find themselves having a stroke. This constitutes about 25% of them, and importantly, half of them are treatable, and 90% are not LVOs, not vessel obstruction. They are smaller strokes. But how to treat them? Whether to treat or not to treat. So these trials, which the MR Witness, Wake Up, THAS, Extend, Diffuse 3 and Dawn, they have identified that these cases can be treated if there is a mismatch in DWF flare, PWA the perfusion, and this is a clinical and DWF mismatch. So Dawn, that is Dawn. So if you have any of these tissue clocks, which are much more important than the time clock, we can intervene with thrombolytic therapy. So that has given rise to DWF flare mismatch, which is seen here, and the flare which is at 125 minutes, DWF is positive, flare has not shown, and 90 minutes not shown, 125 minutes slide out, 130 minutes slide out, 282 it is coming up. So the flare changes will take at least 3 to 6 hours to less than 3 hours you may not see. So one of the important implication is that we can select cases using flare on DWA mismatch. The signal intensity has to be seen. Early onset, this is the signal intensity ratio. Late onset, this is the signal intensity ratio. And the lesion by normal, if this is called signal intensity ratio, if you can calculate that, and there is these sensitivity specificity graphs are joining here, that means there is a cutoff point. That cutoff point is 1.115 or less. For onset less than 4.5 hours, high sensitivity 80%, specificity 82%, positive predictive value 82%. So this is a very important tool for us, and to learn about signal intensity ratio and manage our cases. So that has given rise to MR Witness trial, multi-center phase 2A open label safety trial, IVTPA for unwitnessed onset stroke between 4.5 to 24 hours. That is within 4.5 hours of symptom discovery, not onset. 18 to 85-year-old. This is an amazing trial. You see the results, you will be surprised that how much we can. Only 1 in 80 patients had symptomatic ICH. And IVTPA, less than 4.5 hours symptom discovery, is safe and feasible. Mind you, this is a phase 2 trial. So unwitnessed wake up stroke. So you have this wake up strokes, and the morning you get up and see that individual is not moving. That has given rise to the wake up stroke trial, multi-center randomized double-blind placebo-controlled. Last known well is for more than 4.5 hours, no upper limit. Within 4.5 hours of symptom discovery, age 18 to 80 years, no plan for embolectomy or EVT, baseline MRI with DWF flare mismatch, clinical efficacy trial, primary endpoint, favorable outcome at 0 to 1, see how strong at 90 days. Trial stopped early due to cessation of funding by European Union after 503 of the anticipated 800 patients. The trial is stopped, but 500 patients by the time have been recruited and have been studied, and favorable outcome at 90 days, 53% versus 41%, with a confidence interval which is very narrow, 1.09 to 2.36 with a significant p-value, which gave us an insight that wake up trial, we can treat cases beyond 4.5 hours with IVTPA. Stroke patients with unknown onset of time and MRI showing DW flare mismatch, treatment with IVTPA results in better clinical outcome than placebo. So the treatment effect MRS shift is very significant, 3.4 and 3.4. The medium time to randomization is 9.5 hours in these cases. And one more trial based on rapid ISCOM extend trial, extend IA trial, phase 3, randomized multi-center double-blind trials stratified for time of randomization, 4.5 to 6, 6 to 9, and wake up stroke. Study stopped early after publication of wake up trial. So this data safety committee will usually stop trials where the result is already known. So this was also stopped. That brings us the low NIHS and large vessel occlusion. The meta-analysis of 5 studies where NIHS is only 0 to 5, but on imaging you found intracranial ICA, M1, M2, ACA, posterior occlusion occlusions. Then you are treated with mechanical thrombectomy plus IV TPA with medical therapy or IV TPA. So with medical therapy, there is a favorable outcome with mechanical thrombectomy and intravenous thrombolytic therapy, 4 times higher better outcome of MRS 0 to 2, and in some significantly 9 times higher if it is only medical therapy and thrombectomy. That means IV TPA plus combined MT is faring less well than only MTA plus medical therapy in these cases. And so mechanical thrombectomy versus IVTPA, there is no significant difference. So there is a scope for low NIHS also in interventions. So additional questions that remain unanswered: flare hyperintensity, how bright can we go? The vessel size, how small can we go? How big we can treat? So we don't know, but still we hope that the magic can be done with some neuroprotectives. So far, more than 100 strategies have been more than 160 completed clinical trials. None is successful. So we don't know what the neuroprotection is so far. A very very sad ending. So I end by saying the stroke windows 0 to 4.5 hours IVTPA, and you do CT aspect, CT angiography, and you think of possible EVT. 4.5 to 6 hours CT aspect, CT angiography, possible EVT. 6 to 24 hours wake up, you have to have CT angio plus CT perfusion plus or DW and MRA and possible EVT. So these are the final recommendation of stroke windows from my side after going through the literature, and there is evidence for each statement that is listed here, which we can provide as and when required. So that's all from my side. Thank you very much. Any questions?
Still 9 minutes left. Just take a minute.
Okay.
Security.
Yes. Any questions? Any clarifications on what we talked? We talked about so many issues that bother us, and where we stand in stroke management on the present day in 2020, and what are the various modalities available to us. What are the end
What
of
is the data about tenecteplase and acute stroke? One question.
tenecteplase? So far, extend IA trial said less than 3 hours whenever you are giving large vessel occlusion. There are some trials which have said, and tenecteplase will come into play, and it's a good drug, and it's but not so many. There is one
So
more
more
trial.
trials are needed.
More trial.
Where is MR modality used? SWI, MRA or MRP?
What MR modality?
Where is MR modality used?
Hmm.
SWI or MRA or MR perfusion?
The SWI means that you want to see the bleed, hemorrhagic infarct, suspect, what do you got, weighted imaging, right? That we see only in ICH, and whenever we think of venous infarcts and hemorrhagic infarcts. MR angiography, intracranial, is used to rule out intracranial stenosis more easily. Extracranial, it's a flow-related modality, so it may overestimate the stenosis. So we have to follow it up with another modality. MR perfusion is used beyond 6 hours to describe diffusion weighted and perfusion weighted mismatch to see the penumbra, how big is the penumbra.
One more question. What about IVTPA in a patient on anticoagulants, NOACs basically, and with WP is around 3 hours window period.
No, it's last 24 hours. If they taken, there is no chance of any of the IVTP.
Yeah, and anyway, INR will have to be done.
For INR, they are asking Novax, no?
No, actually.
So Novax may 24 hours. And if there is they have taken,
He
they
hasn't
can.
taken.
If they have
If he
taken,
hasn't taken, then it
you
can
can
be.
give.
Then do all cases of acute ischemic stroke require CT angio?
All ischemic, anti-ischemic stroke cases whose NIHS is more than 6, they require a CT angiography to rule out large vessel occlusion so that you can further plan the treatment. The stroke severity scale is a very important scale that is to be learned by everybody because a lot depends on how you assess the patients. And if it is 4 or less, it is called mild stroke. Or
Would you reverse heparin for thrombolysis if APTT is raised?
APTT is raised,
A patient is on heparin, APTT is raised, and now you want to thrombolyze.
we don't really come. Where do we use that?
Yeah, situation.
We use oral anticoagulants and we got an INR of 1.7, then less than that, but it may be required, but we have not faced such situation.
Such a situation.
I cannot answer this question.
Dr. Neha, has such a specific situation come in your practice? Meanwhile, we'll go to the next question. Can we thrombolyze based on DWI flare mismatch in wake-up strokes in the current scenario?
Yes, you can.
Yeah. Yes, Dr. Shamsundar, we can. Then, is there complete non-contrast imaging practiced for this diagnosing stroke?
Non-contrast CT scan is the workhorse. So the first modality to rule out bleed and consider the intravenous or thrombolytic therapy is non-contrast CT scan. Still the workhorse.
Yeah. I think that's it with the questions.
Okay. Should we want to ask Dr. Rahalkar or somebody?
Anyone present right now from radiology department, Bharti Vidyapeeth, Bharti Hospital? Meanwhile, one more question is there. How to go about ICH after IV thrombolysis? That's a different topic, but symptomatic and
Symptomatic, and so you have to divide the parenchymal hemorrhage, and there are grades given, and the reversal agents are given. Depending on how it caused, you have to use the reversal agent.
Yeah.
So you know, a fresh Trojan plasma, you can use cryoprecipitate, things like that you can use.
I think that's it, sir.
Okay, then thank you very much. Till next meeting, which we'll announce. And have a good day.
Use of MR, TOF and ASL in stroke. MR, TOF and ASL.
TOF image, no, MR. See, then there is a difference between contrast enhanced MR angiography and TOF MR angiography, and the contrast enhanced MR angiography is better used. And what is the second one?
Is it contraindicated to thrombolyze only based on NCCT?
It is not contraindicated. If you are able to judge the stroke severity by NH stroke scale, and then you equip yourself with that knowledge.
So that NIHSS and clinical assessment becomes all the more important.
It is very, very important. Very important. Clinical assessment is very important. You are taking major therapeutic decisions, but mostly slipshod assessments.
That's it, sir.
Okay, thank you very much, everybody, and have a good day till we meet next.
Uh,
One more question?
Sir?
One more question?
No, no. The last question was guidelines for pediatric stroke.
Uh-huh.
If he's still there, you can answer. I had closed. Guidelines for pediatric stroke.
Guidelines for pediatric stroke will have a separate discussion.
Yes, sir.
So the etiology of pediatric stroke is something different than the adult
Adult stroke.
stroke, and but pediatric strokes also get thrombolized.
Yeah.
The assessment has to be done in IHS stroke scale. There is no doubt about it. They get thrombolized. Then we look for various etiologies subsequently. Though thrombus has to be done in the same fashion as adults.
Yes, sir.